again, the goal of today is we're going to take an exam question, a full exam question, as though you are taking the exam. We're going to review them together. I'm going to explain why the correct answer is correct and why the wrong answer is wrong. And I'm going to, hopefully, if anything is difficult there, I would go ahead and explain the correct answers so that you can come back to watch this video and have a very in-depth understanding of what the content is. Also, please take notes in today's class, ask questions, anything that is unclear, please ask, because that's going to be very, very, very important. All right, so I'm sharing my screen now. I'm going to turn on my video as well. Welcome to the class. Let me pick up the practice exam. Okay, so at this point, if you've gone through all the videos we've done, you've gone through all the classes, you already have the core knowledge you need to pass the exam. So like if you went now, haven't watched all the videos we've done, class 1 to class 8, including the top AWS services video, you are ready. Like you're already you're very likely going to get 70%, which is pretty much a pass. But if you want to take the exam and be sure that you will pass, make sure you watch those videos. Make sure you understand the concepts, because that's what's tested. None of the questions we looked at is exactly the way it's going to come out in the exam, but they will look very similar. So I want us to, put in the work today. And if there's anything unclear, please ask. So what are things to know for the exam, how to prepare? We already talked about the nature of the exam. The exam is 65 questions. You have 1 hour 30 minutes, which is more than enough time to prepare. And 15 of the 65 questions are experimental, meaning that you're not going to be marked negative for. First of all, you don't get a negative mark for missing a question. So always make sure that you select an answer at least. Every question should be answered by you, and make sure you use best judgment. But there will be 15 questions that nobody knows. I didn't know my own 15 questions. You will not know your 15 questions that are just for experimental purpose, just to see how are you able to know a little bit beyond the scope, and that would influence how they improve on the exam moving forward. Next thing I want everyone to do, I want you to, if you can, print out or at least save it to a somewhere you can have access to it, the guide, the exam guide. Mine is somewhere here. I want you to download the exam guide for this course. The exam guide, I don't know if anyone has the link. I will find the link again. But the exam guide, you can always get it by just typing AWS Cloud Practitioner Exam Guide. You see a PDF. Download it. If you can print it. Because what I want you to do with that is when you are preparing and you're about to take the exam, I want you to be able to look at the task statements, the objectives, and make sure that you actually know them. If there's anyone you don't know, you mark it and make sure you get to know it. So it's going to be like a bunch of pages like this with services and some things you're supposed to learn. Make sure you get that, please. So I sent it earlier in the first class, but it will be very helpful if we get access to that. Okay, so the next thing is make sure that and I'm going to give you some of the points during the exam. While you're taking the exam, number 1 is make sure you use all the allocated time. Don't leave the exam before the time elapses. The reason for that is threefold. All right. Number 1, it gives you enough time to really understand if you answer the questions right. So go through it one pass, go back again, read those questions that you think you got very easily, read it a little bit more intently. Chances are you skipped one simple statement in the question and you missed the key point and you chose the wrong one. So that will save you a lot. That's happened to me a lot, and I've missed one simple word and I almost paid dearly if I didn't go back. So make sure at least twice. All right. Another reason for that is sometimes one question, and some of you have experienced this if you are great test takers, one question might be a clue to another question. So if you've missed it the first time and you see another one, you're like, oh my god, this is the answer in this question. You go back and you can change it. Number two, use the flag feature. So for every question, there's going to be if you're doing it in both on like in a test center or at home. Hopefully no one is doing it at home. I want you to do it at a test center. You use the flag feature. The flag feature helps you know exactly which questions you found difficult and you want to come back to, so that you can always go back quickly. Because when the time is towards the end, like there's not enough time to review every single thing. So your best bet is just to go back and do that. And also don't spend too much time on a question. There's some questions that literally 2 seconds you know the answer. There will be questions where you have to read the story and understand what they're asking, and that takes a little longer. Go with the most obvious option when in doubt. So if you are answering some questions and you're not sure, like you don't know this service at all, you don't know what they're asking, eliminate first, which is the last point. Eliminate. But whatever you are left with, make sure you choose the obvious. Most times it's the most simple answer. And you're going to see some examples like that in this practice exam. All right, so number 4, read carefully for choose 1, choose 2, choose 3, or things like most cost effective or most reliable method. When you see things like that, they're asking for a specific thing, which means that the question might have multiple answers, like multiple ways to do whatever they're asking, but they're asking for the most appropriate, most cost effective. So make sure you read the question very carefully to know what they're asking for. All right. So at this point now, we're going to take a practice exam together, and we're going to do this together. So I want everybody to follow here. The exam has started. So here's what I want us to do. We're going to interact with each other. So you see the question, I want you to use the chat to tell me the answer. I don't know if there's a more effective way, because sometimes the chat overloads and I miss what people are saying. So question 1, which of the following aspects of security does the customer cover? Choose 2. That's the question. So I would like us to try, everyone, if we can. Which of the following aspects of security does the customer cover? There are 2 answers here. And this question is the shared responsibility model. So I think very good. I'm seeing some answers, so I'm going to go with that. So let's look at it one after the other. Physical security of AWS data centers, that's not the customer's responsibility, that is AWS. Security of the customer application and data, that's you. Security of the customer devices, that's you. Security of the AWS infrastructure, no. So in this case, you don't need to flag it, you move on. Number 2, your company is running an audit on IAM roles and S3 bucket access. Which service can be used to help you discover which roles or buckets allow external access? This is one of those cases where if you don't know the answer, you have to take an educated guess. So the clue here is the company is running an audit on IAM roles and S3 bucket access. Which service can help you discover who has external access? So all answers for question 2 now, please. Okay, Gladys said B. Who else? Okay, to make sure that we save time, I'm not going to wait. If you guys want to come back and review my walkthrough on this, please do, but pay attention. I would not wait for you to type in the chat, because I know not everyone is at the same level right now. So I'll just answer it and tell you the process and explain some of each of the options. I think that should be a lot better, and then you can review this, and when you are very comfortable, it should be easy to do. So the question is asking about IAM roles and S3 buckets. So there are some things that must go out automatically. Number one, inspector must go out, because when we talk about inspector, inspector is used for seeing security vulnerabilities in EC2. All right. Inspector is a service for checking vulnerabilities in EC2. All right. Yes, it might check some other things like ECS, but primarily it is looking at in EC2. So keywords for inspector, if you're taking notes on the service called inspector, it is for checking for vulnerabilities in your EC2 instances. Those are the two things that they will ask for this question. So it's not inspector. What is artifact? Artifact is where you would find reports, right? If you remember, reports. And just for everyone to see what that looks like. I just want to make sure everyone sees this, even if you see it again. You know. So artifact has a lot of reports, compliance reports, requirements reports, and so that's what I'll come here to do. So if you notice, when I go to artifact, all I see is view reports, view agreement. If I check reports, there are many reports here that I can review, and these are all compliance documents. All right, compliance documents on different things. Third party reports, if I have any, you can import them there. There's agreements, and agreements have other stuff too, like, depending on the country you are and all that. So the only thing you need to think about for artifact is reports. So that's not here. Detective is primarily a tool for also for vulnerability, but the different thing here is that it is looking for the root cause of the problem. So AWS Detective is for security investigation and for viewing it. So this is basically what it is. It uses machine learning to build a data set that you could use to conduct efficient security investigations. So you're basically trying to do investigation. Think of the detective as a detective. So any option that shows things like they're trying to find the root cause of the problem, they're trying to investigate and respond, that is detective. Now, what services does Amazon Detective work with? Think about it as across your data, not just one service, but across your data, right? Using the resources. So the correct answer to this question is IAM Access Analyzer. And IAM Access Analyzer works with S3. Works with S3 to check if it has privileges or access to your does it grant IAM least privilege. By the way, this is something that is going to come up a lot, this idea of least privilege. Least privilege, or the principle of least privilege, means I'm only going to give permissions that are necessary. I'm not going to give you full access to do anything you want. If I say principle of least privilege, it means I'm only giving you the permissions you need to get the task done, not more, not less. So that is the idea. So Access Analyzer helps you check to make sure that you're not having external access. And one of the services that it works with is S3. All right, so the correct answer is IAM Access Analyzer. Let's go on. So for this one, you're going to think about it and make your answer before I go ahead to answer it. So make sure you two are writing the answers. A food delivery company has a set of 3 EC2 instances that remain idle for most of the day, except 3 spikes during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a food delivery company, so that makes sense. There will be spikes during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What is the most effective way to optimize these instances with the lowest operational overhead. They're asking you what is the most effective way to optimize these instances with this lowest operational overhead. So I'm going to use the information from the question to answer the question. First thing I see is 3 instances are idle for most of the day, which means like for most of the day, we have these 3 instances and they're not being used. So how can I make sure that I am using the well-architected framework, or how am I making sure that I'm using the resources well? Number one, use an auto-scaling group to scale out and in based on demand. That's sounding very nice to me. Auto-scaling group sounds nice. Use reserved instances instead of on-demand instances. Who can tell me why this would not be a good option? Why shouldn't I use reserved instances instead of on-demand instances? Because the question says these EC2 instances remain idle for most of the day. So why would I want to reserve an instance, right? I don't want to lock myself into some instances for a period of time because my workload is variable. Exactly, forget it. So on demand is I need it when I need it. So that's not the answer. Write a script to stop instances when demand is low. Why would I want to write a script? That's too much. The question says lowest operational overhead. What does operational overhead mean? It means I'm getting to do more than is necessary. That's not being efficient. So why should I write a script when there's something in AWS that can solve the problem for me? So I'm not going to choose that. Use an elastic load balancer to scale out and in based on demand. It sounds nice, but what's wrong? That's not what an elastic load balancer is used for. So these are an example of some of the questions that will trick you. You see elastic load balancer, you're like, let me balance the load. But load balancer does not scale out or scale in. That's the job of the auto scaling group in EC2. So the correct answer is A. So if you went with A, good job. If you didn't, we'll keep going on. Okay. Next. All right, this one I want you to answer it. So I want to see your answers in the chat. What is the root user in AWS? This is testing your knowledge of how the root user works. All right. So I'm seeing some answers and they're looking good. So let's check. The root user is the most powerful user in AWS. So the only user that can delete the AWS account, yes. The initial user account created when setting up an AWS account with complete access to all AWS services and resources, correct. A user role assigned to a user to grant administrative privileges, no. This is not correct. A role does not assign to a user privileges, so that doesn't make sense. A group of users that have the ability to delete resources, no, that's just a group. Special user account for troubleshooting, no. And it says restricted access. Root access has full access. So the answer is A and B, like you said. Good job. All right. Who can tell me this one? This one, you know it if you've watched the videos. Like, I feel like everything that is here has been taught. You just have to catch up on it. Question 5. A colleague tells you about a service that uses machine learning to discover and protect sensitive data stored in S3. Which AWS service does this? Which AWS service protects sensitive data in S3? Let's go through all of the options, because one of the things that will help you in the exam is knowing why an answer is not the correct answer. So number 1, recognition. What is recognition? It is an AI or machine learning AWS service that helps you to identify people and helps you identify images. It's for seeing, for recognizing, as the name implies. So recognition. You can search and analyze images. I talked about this in the last class. So label detection, you can use it to check things in an image, like it will detect that there are cars, there's a building, there are trees. Celebrity recognition, it can recognize who the person is. Text in the image. So yes, that's what it's for. It's for recognition. You can also detect video, parts in a video, and stuff like that. So recognition, does it protect sensitive data in your S3 bucket? No. Inspector, now we know what inspector is by this time, right? Inspector is for what? Searching and seeing security vulnerabilities in your EC2 instances. So that's not the answer. Macy, the way I want to help people remember this is, if you know the store Macy's in the US or in Canada, like a shopping store, Macy's is a secure location, right? It's for shopping, but obviously the things that are stored in the store are protected, and you don't want them to kind of leak or get, cause problems. So that's how I try to remember Macy. So Macy helps you discover and protect sensitive data stored in S3. How does it work? Macy will see a text like, my name is Gladys and I am this amount years old. This is when I was born. It will go into that and it will cover, that sensitive data, because that is your personal information. So personally identifiable information, PII for short, is going to be yours is Macy, may I see, right? That's funny. But yeah, think about S3. S3 is what Macy works with. So it protects PII in S3. So that's the answer. SageMaker, what is SageMaker? Remember I talked about this in the last class. You are making a sage. You're making something to be very wise. So it builds machine learning. That's what it is. You are the one making and building. So that's not the correct answer here. So Macy is the correct answer. Next question. What are two benefits of using the cloud adoption framework? To be honest, I hate this topic because I put something in the group chat. I hope everyone saw it. It's just the summary of what to read for the exam with regards to this. Cloud adoption framework. Let's see what you guys think. Number one says it improves operational efficiency and increases operational efficiency and improves ESG. That sounds about right. Right? So that's one of them. It reduces business risk and grows revenue. Does it? Yes, it does. It increases high availability and agility. Which one does this? Which one does this? The well-architected framework, right? So that's different. So you should know by now the well-architected framework, all the things there, cost optimization, security, all of those things, right? You must know them. It increases high availability, no. It elasticity and no. So the answer is A and B. Good job. Let's move on. Your company wants to move into the cloud and use a compute service that can host their application and website. What compute service can accomplish this? This should be very quick for us. Very quick. Very good. Elastic compute service, right? Because you want to host application. Why is not Lambda? I wouldn't host my application on Lambda if it is a website, because Lambda only runs for 15 minutes. It runs code for only 15 minutes. So why would I want to let my website run for only 15 minutes? So that's out of it. Route 53 is for DNS, and Elastic Load Balancer has nothing to do with a compute service. That's not what it is. So A. You have been tasked with optimizing EC2 instances and the usage across your account. Which of the following can help you do this? Choose two. So for sure, we are tasked with optimizing EC2. So compute optimizer is definitely one of them. The question is which other one? Because they said choose two, you can't choose only one. So we want to optimize EC2 instances and the usage across your account. What are two things we can use? It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. So is it B? What does trusted advisor help you with? This is a new service that you have to know because it comes out a lot. Trusted advisor is the thing that helps you in your account to optimize everything. So it gives you best practices learned from hundreds of thousands of AWS customers. It will inspect your environment and what? Make recommendations. Okay? So it will give you recommendations. But one of the things you must realize is that Compute Optimizer is also works with trusted advisor checks. So if you look at this, Compute Optimizer is for improving the performance and all that, but you can opt in with trusted advisor and it will give you recommendations. So the correct answer there would be trusted advisor. Now, load balancer would be appropriate if it was not optimizing the EC2 instances itself, but optimizing load management or traffic to those instances. So that's why I said it's tricky. Compute Optimizer, trusted advisor, they always give you advice for optimization. All right. And notice usage across your account. So load balancer is limited. Most of the questions will have two things. The first one will be clearly addressing the first option, and the second part will address the other one. So that's one of the clues in taking a test. This "and" carries a lot of weight in the exam. Always pay attention to it. They are always asking two things, and if they say choose two are in the question already. So load balancer would not be good, right? Because EC2 is already limited, and Lambda is not helping to optimize anyway. So next, your company has asked if you are encrypting data at rest. What does this mean? So I don't know if we've talked about encryption, but encryption is a way of securing your data with a private key or with a key that needs to be decrypted on the other end. So it's like if I write code to someone, anyone who finds that letter on the way cannot decode it without the other side, the decoder, to see what is being said. That's what encryption is. There are two kinds of encryption. There's encryption at rest and encryption in transit. And just as the name implies, encryption at rest is for data that is already stored. Encryption in transit is encrypting it as it is going through the medium of transmission. So what is the correct answer here? Obviously, it is the last one. Encryption at rest guarantees that the data is encrypted while it is stored. Encryption at rest ensures the data is highly available. Nope. Nope. So when it says encrypted while moving between AWS accounts, that is encryption in transit. So the answer is D. Okay, so this one I talked about it in my last class on billing. Let me give you guys the chance to answer this one. A company is migrating its workloads to AWS. Which tool will help the company estimate their potential cloud bill and calculate their overall total cost of ownership based on their current workloads? Remember, they want to estimate. That's the key word here. Potential, meaning they've not yet entered cloud. They want to estimate how much they will spend in the cloud and calculate their overall total cost of ownership. Good. So the answer is what? Number one says the company can use the Cost Explorer to visualize its estimated cost. No, you use Cost Explorer to check what you're already spending. If you remember, I showed a screen where Cost Explorer was showing the different grades of financial spend. So that's not going to work here. The company can research the published price manually. Anytime you see, let me give you a clue, guys. In this exam, if you see anything saying manually, that's not the answer. Anything that makes you do something that AWS can already do automatically, that is bad design. So know that that is not the answer. You will see a lot of questions that will mislead you like that, like write a script or manually add additional EC2 instances. No, when you can auto scale, why should you manually do it? So that's out. The company can open an account and billing support case to get help with estimating. That's too much overload. When you can do it yourself, why open a ticket? The company can use the AWS pricing calculator. That is the answer. So with the pricing calculator, you can literally calculate it. I'm not going to show that because I showed that in the last video, so you can go back and check it. All right, next, why should you avoid using the root user account in AWS for daily operations? Very good. It's only unrestricted access, so it is prone to a lot of things. I saw someone that they put their credentials of their root account on a blog. But I don't know how stupid you can be. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. That was not nice. But like they put their credentials because they needed someone to help them do something. I'm like, and the person got in there, took access to the account because of course the other person's credit card is on it, spent crazy money. The bill came to like $2,500 and they reached out eventually, they reported it, reached out to us, and we couldn't help them, unfortunately. So yeah, you don't want to do that. There's too much access there. Your company wants to host AWS. Okay, your company wants to host a website on AWS, but it needs it to be highly available. That's what they're asking for. They're not asking for reliability. They're not asking for any other qualities of the cloud. They're asking for high availability. What is the answer? There are two answers here. Okay, so the obvious one, when you see highly available, they are basically saying, are you using multiple availability zones? So that's one. Of course, it cannot be this one because it says they're using one availability zone. Don't ever use one availability zone if you don't want to lose your data. Then we're left with A and B. So now elimination. Highly available, you may think use a VPN because it's a network, but that's not really it because that only just helps with connectivity from your on-premises to the cloud using the internet in a secure tunnel. So CloudFront, how does CloudFront help with availability? Well, your data is shared in different edge locations, so it is spread out, so it is not in one place, right? It's cached also, and it makes it easy to get access to it. So that's why you want to go with these two. We're doing very well. The time, see, we still have like an hour and we've reached number 13. So we're really good. Like a lot of these questions are very easy. Right. And by the way, the exam is this easy. Like this, the exam is this simple. Which of the following are pillars of the well-architected framework? Which of these are pillars? So make sure you're specific. There are only two here. A and B. Very good. So cost optimization, security. I'm going to add someone to be the co-host, so you can add people for me, please. So I can get through this. All right. So your company is migrating into the cloud and wants to take advantage of what? Now, read the question carefully. There will always be the answer in the question. Who can tell me the words that they are testing you on here? When you see choose two, they are testing you on two things. What are the two things there? They want to see you understand the concepts of the cloud. What's one of them?
Scalability and
Exactly.
effective.
Thank you. So scalability and cost effectiveness. So your answer choices must be something that has to do with scalability, meaning being able to scale out or scale up. And it must also have to do with how to save money. All right. So let's try. Let's try now. So what's the correct answer here? The only requirement is that cost must remain below a certain threshold. Which of the following options meets their needs? So let's look at the options very well. They will use a public cloud deployment model. The moment you see something like this in the options, just know that it's going to be either like there are categories. They will use a public deployment model. They will use a hybrid cloud development model. I know it's going to be one of those two because I'm seeing two that are different. So one of them is going to be one of these two. Then I see they will use direct connect. They will use a virtual private network. They will need to configure a billing alarm. So it could be any of the other three. That's a good way to gauge. So let's eliminate. They said scalability and cost effectiveness. I don't see virtual private network giving us any benefit. So that's out. They will use direct connect. Direct connect is great for connectivity, but it's expensive and it's a dedicated line that they don't need for scalability and cost effectiveness. So I've eliminated B and D. They're out. Now I need to pick two. So scalability. What gives me scalability in the cloud? Is it hybrid cloud where I have on-premises and I have cloud, or I'm fully using the cloud? Which one gives me more scalability? Wow, this is not supposed to be hard. So, of course, we're going to pick E, right? Because they will need to configure a billing alarm. Why? You don't want to overspend. I told you yesterday or last time we had a class, AWS budget helps you to set a particular limit on how much you can spend. So that helps you to be cost efficient. But the other aspect of scalability, what is the benefit of using the AWS cloud? Is the fact that you can save money by moving everything to the cloud and only pay as you go. So why would I want a hybrid model? So anytime you see hybrid model, of course you can use it, but does it save cost? Is it scalable? You get more savings by using everything on the cloud. So A and E is the correct answer here. But if you're not sure, you can flag it because maybe something else will give you a clue in the question. So let's go on. Which is the most efficient AWS feature that allows a company to restrict IAM users from making changes to a common administrator IAM role created in all accounts in their organization? Woo! This is the clue, this thing. So you want to apply a permission or some kind of policy that will restrict IAM users. Remember that policies are supposed to allow or deny a user from doing something. But the key thing here that they are testing your knowledge on is the role, this administrator role is created in all accounts. So you have multiple AWS accounts. How do you control it at multiple account level? So I want to introduce you to something called AWS organizations. All right. AWS organizations is a service in AWS that helps you manage multiple AWS accounts. You can have one master account that controls other, child accounts. You can put all the billing from all the different accounts under one account. So one person will pay for all the accounts. That's something you can use this for. Another benefit here is you can control all the access to different resources in the different accounts by using something called a service control policy. And so the answer here is A. All right. So the clue to answer this question, most people would have gone with, restrict IAM user from making changes. Obviously, IAM user policy. But then this is the clue. It tells us that it is everywhere in all the accounts. So do you want to go manually and do it for all of them? No. You can just use the service control policy and it takes care of everything. So take note of this. If you've not written this in your notes yet, write this down. AWS organizations is that service. Let's move on. Which of the following are load balancer types offered by AWS? This should be very easy. If you've read the notes, if you follow the classes, let's go. What are the answers? They're asking for the types of load balancers. Of course, the service itself is Elastic Load Balancer, but there are 4 types of load balancers. So I'm saying they said choose 3, by the way. So make sure you read the question carefully. Make sure you read the question carefully. They said choose 3. So of course application is there. There's something called the application load balancer, which functions at the what? Layer 7 application layer of the OSI model. I remember teaching this. Network, for sure, that functions at the layer 4. Which one is faster? Which one is like great, has the highest performance? Is it application or network? Very good. Network is faster. Network is faster. So it has higher performance because you're not at the application level where there's a lot of latency. You are the I mean you just come up from the physical layer, you're now above the transport layer, network layer, then there's the transport layer. So that transport layer, layer 4, is faster. So you want to always use that if you need low latency traffic load balancing. There's one more, and most people don't remember it, but it was in my slides, and it's called Classic. Nobody uses the Classic anymore, but it's one of them. Who can tell me the last one that is not listed here? There's a fourth type. Very good. Gateway load balancer. What is that one used for? That is used for third-party traffic management. So when you see third party and you see load balancer, the answer is gateway. Those are some of the keywords to remember. All right, let's move on. You found evidence of malicious and unauthorized behaviors in the account. What service can help you to continue to monitor for other behaviors? Very good question. You found evidence. The question is not what can I use to resolve it. It is what can I use to keep checking. So this is how you know the difference between services. And then they're saying in your account. So there are some things you can eliminate. So let's work on this together. Let's work on this question together. Okay, I'm seeing A. Who else wants to try? Which one can we eliminate very comfortably? We can eliminate C, right? Because C is focused on, where's C focused on? EC2 instances. And it is not just just monitoring. It is scanning for vulnerabilities and giving us that information. So it is a proactive tool, but it's for EC2 instances. So we can eliminate C. Trusted advisor will give you advice. That's what it does. It will give you recommendations, but it will not necessarily monitor for other unwanted malicious behaviors. So the correct answer here is guard duty. Guard duty. Just like the name implies, the guard comes on duty and it's just monitoring. It's not really doing anything, it's just monitoring. Especially the one that used to be in my estate in Lagos. The guy will sleep but he'll wake up and he cannot fight anybody, but he can monitor. That's what guard duty is. All right. A customer has created an administrators group in IAM containing 5 users. What does the customer attach to the group to ensure all the users have the needed administrative access? I need full participation. This is the last class. Just if you're tired, grab coffee or something. Let's get through this. I really want everyone to be ready. Okay, so the answer is clearly IAM policy, right? Because what do you attach to a user? Policy. What do you attach to a role? Policy. What do you attach to a group? Policy. Okay, that's what gives it the instructions. Think about it this way. You are the CEO of your company, but you are first of all a person. That person is called the user. So Gladys is the CEO of, Flourish Ventures. So she is a user. Now, when she's in that office, guess what? She's the CEO. That is a role. That role comes with its permissions and policies. that are attached to her because of the role she has. Does that make sense? And then there is the group. Let's say there's a board of directors. They all have equal power, so they are a group. But individually, they are users who might have specific roles. Do you understand? You can put users in groups. You can't put a role in a group, but you can take on the position of a role. The only people that can take on a role would be users and a service itself. So S3 can take on a role to do something in another service. But that's something to remember, okay? So the answer is IAM policy. That's what you attach to the group. Next question. This one I want to see the answer from you guys. So question 19. Your company needs to launch instances at random times for unknown lengths of time. They cannot go down until they are ready to terminate them. What is the cheapest EC2 pricing option they can use? So they're asking you which is the cheapest that meets this criterion. All votes now. Genge. So key words. All right. Always pay attention to the key words. Unknown length of time. If I don't know the length of time that I'm going to need it for, I'm not going to spend money on reserved instances, because reserved instances require me to lock myself in to reserve an instance for at least 1 to 3 years. That is reserved instances, 1 to 3 years. So if they said unknown length of time, meaning it could be 5 days, it could be 6 months, my best bet is not to risk it and reserve. The next question is, the next point is they cannot go down. So yes, reserved instances, of course, they will not go down, it's reserved, but it's too expensive. Now, if I want it to not go down, I will go with on demand, because on demand says when I want it, I want it. When I don't want it, I turn it off myself. So on demand is like generator. All right, think about it like this. On demand, you go to turn on your generator yourself. That's on demand pricing. Guess what? It is not the cheapest that exists, but it gets the job done. And it's cheaper than reserved instance because you are paying upfront and you may not need it and you now end up spending too much. But then there is savings plan, which is very closely related to reserved instances. But the problem with savings plan is that savings plan is also a locked commitment of 1 to 3 years. So savings plan and reserved instances are locked in. So if I want to get the cheapest now, I'll go for spot instances. But here's the problem with spot instances. Spot instances is like NEPA or PHCN, meaning I'm playing game now. I'm beating, Shayo. It's a goal, and then maybe I'm like 5-1, and then NEPA takes light. Guess what? That game is not saved. Nobody can know that I beat him. He can say I didn't win, because spot is like, it doesn't care what happens to you. You bargained for it and you auctioned for it to get the cheapest value, but we can take it anytime we want. That's spot instance. So what is the cheapest? The cheapest is spot instance, but because we don't want it to go down until we are ready to terminate, we'll go with on demand. So the correct answer is on demand. I hope that explanation helps you remember. On demand is your generator. When you are done playing the game, you turn it off, you saved your game, you are fine. Spot, NEPA, anything can happen. So use it only when you don't care about losing your data. Reserved, I'm locking myself in for this particular instance for 1 to 3 years. Savings plan is I want to save more money by using more time. Same thing, you still lock yourself in. All right, so that's how to answer a question like this. Next question. An on-premises application requires a consistent high-speed connection. Make sure you read the question carefully. Everything is in the question. Consistent high-speed connection to the AWS environment that is better than internet-based connection. So that means whatever it is I'm going to choose is not going to be internet-based. And it must support a hybrid deployment model. which AWS service can provide this connection? So they're asking me about the connectivity option that AWS offers that allows me to connect my on-premises location to the cloud without using the internet. What is the answer? Please vote, 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 vote. Nobody else? Oh wow. So I mean that means you've not watched the VPC class then. So I'll explain this to you. VPC pairing, the first one is just the way of connecting two VPCs, which are isolated houses in the cloud, right? So they are isolated and I want to connect them, I want to pair them. That's VPC pairing. And I can do that inside, is in AWS. I don't know what's happening there. So that pairing is not a physical connection, it's not dedicated in any way. It's all in the cloud. So VPC pairing has nothing to do with hybrid deployment. Okay. Side to side VPN. This is not a bad idea. It's like connecting from one site, from one physical location to the AWS cloud using a tunnel. But guess what? You're using the internet. Like if you use VPN, are you not still going to use the internet? So it's still over the internet. So those two are gone. Simple token service. I don't even know if this is a service. It's not. STS is token. Yeah, it's something token. Sorry, AWS STS. Security token service. So it's not even simple. It's security token service. And security token service gives you temporary access, temporary credentials. That's what STS is for. So it works with IAM to give you temporary credentials. If you are using an IAM role, behind the scenes, the IAM role is giving a token. That token has a period of time that it gives you the ability to stay in that role for. So that's what it does under the hood. So of course, this is not a connection service. In the exam, if you don't know the answer, eliminate. You know it cannot be token service. That doesn't even sound like something that is useful here. VPN, you can use your normal knowledge that, oh, VPN, I need internet, but they said it's better than an internet based. Now, you may be tempted to say VPC pairing, but if I'm pairing VPC, that means two VPCs are in the cloud. That's not hybrid. So I will go with the one that is obviously different. And guess what? I'm right, because Direct Connect gives you a physical line that connects your own premises to your cloud environment, and it doesn't use the internet. They will literally build a cable or a line to connect to their hub, and it's beautiful how they do it. They have like a station, like a connect center, and you just get yours to that nearest connect center, and then from there to the AWS cloud. Very secure. All right. How are we doing so far? We've reached question 20. How are you feeling? Do you want to grab some water, relax a little bit? Or do you want us to go on? Time is running, but I know we'll finish on time. Are we learning something from this too? Because it's ultra quiet. Okay, good, good, good. All right, so let's proceed. And this is the best way to learn. You're doing the questions, learning some concepts alongside. So when they come up again, you know it. All right, let's proceed. We'll take a break. Maybe like when we are halfway in the exam. Let's get to like 35 thereabout. All right. A company is using Trusted Advisor. Remember the service that we just learned? To ensure that they are following AWS best practices. By the way, if you see a question on Trusted Advisor, they've given you the answer already for another question. So now you know what it's for. Even if you didn't know it before, now you know based on the question. What real-time guidance does Trusted Advisor provide? So now this is, if you don't know the service, you may not get this, but let's try. Let's say we don't know it. What can we remove? If Trusted Advisor is giving us guidance on best practices, then we can learn a lot from it's telling us things that are happening in our account. It is giving us advice on how to improve. So number one, it may tell us that we are using there's low utilization on EC2 instances. That means we're not really using it. Why do you have it? It's guiding you so you can save money. So that makes sense. That could be one of them. So I'll go with that. Open access permissions to S3. Yeah, that's very bad. So it will tell me you are not doing the right thing with your S3 permissions. So I'll go with that. Amazon services that are down. Which service tells me that one AWS service is down? It's called Health Dashboard. AWS Health Service or Health Dashboard, right? So that's not the correct answer. Upcoming user interface changes to the console. That's not something they tell me in Trusted Advisor. It doesn't help my improvement, but they will post it on a blog. What's new blog for AWS? Exposed access keys. Absolutely. So Gladys, good job. That's the correct answer. A, B, and E are the things that you get. Now you know these things, and I hope you can take note of them. Trusted Advisor will tell you about your usage of EC2 instances. It will tell you about access to S3 that is public, and you don't want, by default, S3 buckets are private. So if you go ahead and you open it, it will warn you that, don't you know that anybody can access your bucket and take your data? And then exposed keys. It will warn you that you have some keys that are not secure. So that's that. Okay, next question. You are storing CSV files in S3. You want to create a report from using those files. What service can you use for this? Again, S3. So you should now be thinking what services work with S3 best. And then you want to create a report from CSV files. What is a CSV file? A CSV file is a comma delimited kind of spreadsheet, right? I don't remember the full meaning of CSV, but it's like I can open it on Excel, I can open it on a spreadsheet application, which means it's a structured data, right? And it means that if I want to create a report from those files, I would need to use another service to enter S3 and run some queries. So I've given us a few clues onto what service we should choose from my explanation. So definitely not D, because why? Why not D? Because D is for what? We're checking metrics, performance, we're checking all of that stuff. Storage lens might be a tricky one, but storage lens just tells us across our AWS account, what buckets do we have, what is the storage size. It gives us general information about our S3 buckets in the account. So it doesn't help us create a report from those files. Cost Explorer is not for S3 alone, it's for all the services, and it only gives us cost information. So the answer is Athena, because Athena will use SQL queries to check S3 to get data that we can use and export a report from. I don't think I've shown you Athena before in the console, so let me use this opportunity to show you what that looks like. So Athena is a query. Ooh. Okay, it wants me to sign in because I have been timed out and I removed my token. 1 second. Oh, we have. Yes, we have. I just don't know if I showed it on the screen. So let me see. All right. So Athena, the Greek goddess of war. But I don't know how we can connect it to remember SQL. You can think about it and let me know if you know. So what do? Athena is an interactive query service that makes it easy to analyze data in S3. So you're analyzing data in S3 using standard SQL. So that's what you need to remember for Athena. It will go into this, it will query and to analyze the results and give you a report at the end. All right, so let's come back to our exam. All right, this is a good question. A college student wants to quickly launch a WordPress website, but they don't have a lot of cloud experience. Which service will help the student launch the website with a low, predictable monthly fee? They don't have any AWS skill. What should they go with? The correct answer is very good, Light Sail. I remember this was one of the first ones I explained in the video I made, right? So Light Sail is very, very easy to use. You just deploy and you're up and running. Why not Outpost? Outpost brings the AWS infrastructure to your on-premises location. Literally, it brings in like an S3 bucket, brings in like an EC2 instance to your physical location in server blades, and you can connect and access it using the normal AWS APIs. You need to have money to do that, but it's an option. An EC2 instance would have been an answer, but they said he doesn't have cloud experience, so don't give him that. Fargate is for containers, and it is serverless, but it's for containers, so that won't help. Okay, next. A company is considering a fully serverless architecture. Which of the AWS services should the company consider when building applications? Keyword, fully serverless architecture. Beautiful, B and D. But there's one more, so always read the question, guys. Choose 3. So what is another service here that is serverless? What serverless means is you don't have to do anything with the underlying infrastructure. You're just focused on the thing itself. So I know that I taught you compute serverless, like serverless compute, which is Lambda and Fargate. But there's also in the database side, most of them are fully managed services. And when we say something is fully managed, we are also saying it is serverless in a sense. You don't have to worry about the underlying infrastructure. All right. So the correct answer is B, C, D, as you have said. Why not EC2? EC2 is not serverless. It is a server itself. And EBS is attached to EC2. So that's how you can eliminate. Good job, guys. Question 25. Which of the following is not a design principle of the well-architected framework? This should be very easy if you've read your notes on this. Architect for failure, yes. That's for reliability, right? You want to also prepare for failure. B, use a single availability zone for all services. That is stupid. You're going to crash and you lose all your stuff. Understand the business requirements, yes. Operational efficiency and excellence, and then experiment frequently. That's performance efficiency, agility, and stuff. But yeah, so the answer is B. All right, this one I'm not going to talk. This was on the VPC lecture. I will explain it again because I want you to grasp this. This one comes a lot in the exam. The idea of a VPC. So try to answer the question, just one answer, and then I will explain some things that you must never forget. For a subnet to be public and send non-local traffic to the internet, we must update the route table of the public subnet and attach what to the subnet? Okay, Forgiveness says A. Any other thoughts? Yes, you guys have to go back to that. I'll do a quick summary of VPC again because I think it's one of those things that you must know. If you don't know it, you're gonna have up to 6 questions that you will not know what to do with. So all right. So nobody else knows the answer. Let's eliminate. The question is for a subnet. So you're thinking about a subnet at this point. To be public and send non-local traffic to the internet. So you want to send traffic from your subnet. What can you find in a subnet? You can find many things inside a subnet. A subnet is like a room, a virtual room in your VPC where you can put different things like instances, right? So if I have an instance and I want to reach the internet, there must be a way to reach the internet from a public subnet. What do I need to attach to my subnet? to give me access to the internet? The answer is simply an internet gateway. All right, that's all. It's a gateway that connects you to the internet. The key thing here, why you would choose internet gateway, is because it says public subnet. Quick question: if it is private subnet and you need to get access to the internet, what would you use? Public subnet means it ultimately wants to connect to the internet. Private subnet means initially you don't plan to connect to the internet, but what if you choose to at some point? What gateway will you use? NAT gateway, correct. So it's NAT gateway, NAT. Let me type it for everybody. Gateway, not get what, sorry. I can't edit. Can I edit here? Yes. All right, NAT gateway. Network address translator gateway. Because if it's private, the IP address is private. So you need something first of all to make it a public IP so that it can reach the internet. That's why it is NAT gateway. But if it is already a public subnet, then you just add an internet gateway. What is a router? Well, a router basically is just what routes traffic, and we don't have the concept of a router per se in our VPC. The only thing we have is a route table, and a route table, which they already added here, gives you the answer to a probably another question that may come up, right? Which is you need to update the route table to point to the internet for that route for it to work. And then who can tell me the purpose of a network access control list, or a NACO for short? What is the purpose of a NACO? It allows or denies access to the subnet. Very good. If I wanted to protect access to the resources inside my subnet, for example, EC2s, RDS instances, all of those stuff, what can I use to protect those inside the subnet to allow traffic to the resources inside? Good. Security groups. These are memorize it. This one came out in the exam twice. I've taken this exam 2 times, and in each time I took it, it came out twice. All right, so this is not do you want to miss. EC2 instances are protected by a what? Security group. Subnet, the bigger guy, is protected by a network. I think the clue to remember is subnet is short for subnetwork, and network has net in the name. Network ACL is exactly the same thing. So you're saying network access control list gives you a control list for who can access this network. So subnet is network ACL. Security group is in your EC2 instance. So you create an EC2 instance, you want to protect access to it at that level. At the EC2 level, you put a security group, and that will protect it. It will only give access to the security group. It will allow, and remember I talked about stateless and stateful. With the EC2 instance, what we have is stateful, meaning it is aware of who comes in and who goes out. If you come in, you can go out. Like, we don't need to check you twice. The example of stateful is, I'm trying to think of a good example. Stateful is you came in, you can go out. That's my house, right? We'll check you when you're coming in, but to go out, we don't need to check you. But NACOs, network access control list, it will either allow or deny you. And the best example I can think of network ACLs at the subnet level, because there has to be greater protection on the outside, and subnet is bigger than your instance, right? Subnet is bigger. So I'm thinking airport, right? If you are going to US, you will go through border security. They will check you. They will check your passport. If you are coming into Nigeria, even though this is your homeland, they will still check Do you understand? So that's double check. You are either able to be allowed or denied both ways, and that is called stateless. We don't know your state. We have to check it every time, and that's at the NACO level. All right, do we understand that? I've tried to explain it better. You may just need to write it down so you have some ways to remember it yourself. So the answer is Internet Gateway. And Route 53, like I said, is your DNS provider. You can use it to create your own domain and translate IP addresses. So that's the answer to that one. All right, next question. Wow, getting tired. We'll soon be there. We'll soon be in 35 and we'll take a short break. So let's put in our energy. A lot of you are very quiet. Olomachi, no comment from you so far. Shayo, nothing. Tommy, I'm looking to see what you guys will type in the chat, please. Let's engage if we can. All right. Which of the following is a geographical area of the world that is a collection of logically grouped data centers? The answer is D. Thank you. A region. Why is it not a local zone? Because a local zone is local. This is a bonus question. There will be a lot of bonus questions in the exam, so you'll be shocked. Global accelerator has to do with speeding up traffic in across different regions. So it is finding the optimal path and accelerating traffic and making sure it gets to destination quickly. Global accelerator is similar to transfer accelerator in S3, but that one is more for uploading to S3 and making it faster, regardless of the distance. Edge location. When you see edge location, what are you thinking? Caching, edges, CloudFront distribution. That's what should come to your mind with edge location. So geographical area of the world is region. Next question. Your company requires that any hardware used is not shared with other companies. Is there a cloud deployment model that fits their need? They don't want to share any hardware with other companies. How do you make sure that that never happens? It's a very simple question too. Thank you. Private cloud, right? It's only your own resources. Hybrid is shared. Public is completely shared. Your team needs to use a graph database and is migrating to the cloud. Which service meets this requirement? This one is a simple. Do you know what a graph database is? Thank you. Neptune. Good answer. Next question. A developer does not want to hard code the database password into the application code when developing a new application, meaning they don't want to put the password and username into the code. Which service can help with accessing the password without having to hard code it? This is a good question. Which service can we use to get the password without having to type it into the code itself? Remember that password is different from key, encryption key. KMS is key managed service, but it's for encryption. So write it down. Don't mix this up. This is one of those tricky stuff. Key management service, KMS, is for encryption with managed keys, encryption. Secret manager is for keeping securely your passwords, access keys, because these are the ways you can access, right? So let me remind you, if you are using the console, you need your username and password to log in. If you are using the CLI, which is another way of accessing AWS, you need access keys. If you're using SDK, which is the third way, you need access keys. So if you're working on your program and you want to include those access keys, you can use Secret Manager to store them and to provide them into your application when needed. So the answer is Secret Manager. Of course, it's not Artifact, it's not KMS because that's for encryption, and it's not Credential Report because this only gives us a report of all IAM access keys that we have. Answer. All right. Which service can be used to cache content closer to the end user? Thank you. I didn't even expect any delay. Good. So CloudFront is used for caching for end users. Next question. This one you have to choose two. Three. A company with business critical application, meaning you don't want to lose your data, is critical. They need to ensure business continuity and that they will not be impacted by capacity restraints in a given region. How can the company ensure this? Which one can we eliminate immediately? Because they say choose three. Which one can we remove? Spot instance. Simple. You cannot use spot instance with capacity reservation. So it's already a trick. So the answer is A, B, C. And now, based on this, you should be able to know what they mean, or like at least use this as a guide for any other question you see. So if I need this, I don't want to use spot because I don't want to lose anything. Next question. You need to implement a managed NoSQL database. Which AWS service would you use? NoSQL, meaning no structured query language. It is unstructured. It's not using SQL. It is NoSQL. Which service in database is NoSQL? Please, if you don't know databases, go and review that class, please. It's very important to remember. So, yes, DynamoDB is NoSQL. RDS is SQL. Redshift is also SQL. It's kind of mixed. It's not really directly like that. Aurora is SQL. So if you see things like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL Server, all of those are SQL based, but NoSQL is DynamoDB. You need to launch a temporary test environment quickly and have several tasks to trigger one another. Which service can accomplish this? So temporary test environment, that's the keyword. Temporary, quickly. You don't want to waste time. You don't have the patience for all of that. What do we go with here? Choose two. Of course, temporary test environment quickly. I'm going to go with Lambda, right? That's an obvious answer. And I want it to be able to trigger other tasks. Which other one can I choose? Let's eliminate. Wavelength is for 5G networks to your phone. That has nothing to do with testing environment. EC2 is not temporary and is not quickly and is not, it's not an ideal option. So I'll go with Lightsail because it's also quick. Remember, you can create a website, but you can also deploy other things for testing. So, this was from the last class. A medical company needs to migrate 100 terabytes of data, to S3, to AWS, sorry. I mean, it's going to come to S3 eventually. Which AWS service can perform this type of migration cost effectively while meeting HIPAA compliance requirements? Meaning, how can I make sure that no one gets to touch it and is secure and is a migration? Now, the options all have Snow in them, so we just have to make sure we know what the Snow family consists of. Who can try here? Okay, just for the sake of those who don't know what this is, let me just really quickly show you this and allow you to learn how it works. So Snow family there are many devices. There's Snow Cone, there's Snow Ball, and there used to be Snowmobile, but they've taken it down. But I mean, Snowmobile is still in the exam, so it's good to know. And I told you all these things already, right? So what do you need to know here? For Snow Cone is very small, rugged, and it gives you storage options. Snow Cone. See, usable hard drive storage for Snow Cone, 8 terabytes. Usable SSD, 14 terabytes. So depending on the type you go with for Snow Cone. So if you are talking in terabytes, small amount of terabytes, go with Snow Cone. If we are talking a lot of terabytes, we'll go with Snowball because we get 80 terabytes of HDD and 1 terabyte of SSD. But the good thing about this is I can get two Snowball devices for 100 gigabytes, for 100 terabytes, right? If it says 80 terabytes, I can combine two. I can get two and I should be able to use it. When you see Snowball Edge, that means we can do some compute on it. So it could be storage optimized, which gives you more space, like 210 TB, but it's still Snowball. And then there's compute optimized as well. And that one gives you 28 TB. So the whole idea is you can connect, and it's called storage clustering. You see that? So you can combine multiple um, Snowball devices. So the correct answer is going to be Snowball Edge. All right, because if you notice, Snowball Edge Compute Optimized has 28. I can combine 5 to give me 100 terabytes because it says storage clustering is allowed. All right, good. Do you think we can finish this thing in 15 minutes? I don't think so, but we'll fail at this pace. We'll fail. Let's see if we can do rapid round, and we'll take a break once this one finishes because I want us to be done. All right. So next, you need to track down which user terminated an EC2 instance yesterday. Which service can you use to do this? C, very good. If you said C, that's the correct answer. Rapid round, let's go. Why CloudTrail? Because we want to know who did what. We're tracking down who did what in AWS. CloudWatch is just monitoring performance. How is it working? Is it working fine? EC2, no. CloudFormation. CloudFormation is infrastructure as code. I'm trying to build my environment. I want to build an EC2 instance that is connected to S3, that is connected to that. Can I write it in a code form? Yes, that's what CloudFormation is. I'm forming the cloud with code. That's CloudFormation. So the answer is CloudTrail. Answer. Next one. A customer has multiple IAM users that need the same access permissions. How can I help all of them, all these users get permissions? You should already be thinking of something. If I have multiple IAM users and I want them to all share the same permissions, yes, I'll add them to a group. Very good. So assign users to an IAM group that has the needed permissions. Next. Under the shared responsibility model, which of the following is the customer's responsibility when using RDS, which is a relational database service? Well, of course, let me see which one is mine. They said choose 4. So in the exam, they only tell you to choose 2 or 3, but I guess they're just trying to be creative here. If it's 4, then one of them is the wrong one. So let me see which one is the wrong one. Which of the following is the customer's responsibility? So I'm looking for which one is AWS responsibility. That is this one. Everything but C. So I need to take backup myself, collect data myself, encryption myself, and database users, correct. But infrastructural security is not me. So that's the answer. So always there's a skill in test taking that I want you to get used to. If you don't know the answer at all, don't think you will miss it. You can eliminate, you can think about it logically. You always find a way around it. You need to deploy a complete copy of your production environment across multiple regions at the same time. This should be straightforward because I think I explained it exactly. CloudFormation, because I have it as a code. I can just go and run it in all those regions. Very good. Next, you need to monitor and receive alerts for spending overages. You're overspending in AWS. How can I get alerts? What service? Throw it in the chat real quick. Well, this is very, very easy. From the last class. Even if you don't know the answer, try to make a guess. Exactly, budgets, AWS budgets. That's the correct answer. Okay. Trusted advisor, no. Pricing calculator, no. So that's that. According to the AWS shared responsibility model, who is responsible for patching and updating the underlying infrastructure of AWS services? Very good. AWS. Because they said underlying infrastructure of AWS services. If they said patching and updating EC2, that is you. All right, it's your own responsibility. This one is all services. Your company is deploying a new web application that is highly available. So I want it to be high availability. How can a company increase availability? What's the answer? Read carefully. New web application. Remember that CloudFront is content delivery. Content delivery. So if they said they are deploying a web application and they want high availability, always go for the one that says multiple availability zones. So in the exam, pause, relax, check very well. If they said speed, then we may look at CloudFront and transfer acceleration. All right. Which of the following is a benefit of the well-architected framework? I'm going with D. It looks very, very straightforward. It helps you build secure, that's security, high performing, that's performance efficiency, resilient, that's reliability, efficient infrastructure, that's operational excellence. So D. You need to stream data, keyword stream data in real time, and that keyword. What is the answer to this one? Which service am I going to use for streaming data in real time for a dashboard application? Correct, kinesis. Even from the name, kinetic energy, right? Streaming. Redshift is data warehousing. CloudWatch is performance. CloudTrail is tracking API requests. So kinesis. Where is the best place to store your root user access key so that your application can use it to make requests? There's already a question in the question. All right, so should we store it in AWS file? No. It needs to be coded directly into your application. That's bad practice. Nowhere. That's correct. You should never use the root access key for any operation. You just want to hide that and throw that away somewhere. All right. And then this is also this is also wrong. Key management store is not for passwords. It's for our access keys is for encryption. So that's not correct. Which of the following statements accurately describes the benefit of encryption? Oh yeah, let's go. We've talked about encryption a few times, so you should know the answer to this one. We can still finish the exam on time with the way I'm looking at this thing. Good. Encryption makes it harder for unauthorized users to access sensitive information. Very good. Your company is migrating into the cloud and needs to provide trusted users with temporary credentials. We talked about this today. One of the options. Beautiful. Security token service. What is Cognito used for? Let me teach you that one. So, when you want to log into an application and you can either type in your username or password, or they will say something like sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook. Have you seen that before? That's called federated access or SSO, right? And so, or single sign-on, all those stuff. All those things are called federated access. You are basically using your existing credentials to sign into another platform. What gives you the ability to do that is called Cognito. All right, Cognito is the one that gives you federated access. But the question here is asking for temporary credentials to trusted users. So I'm going to go with security token service because temporary is the keyword for that one. All right, how could you, is it 2 questions they asked? Did you say choose 2 or 1? Okay, 1. All right, how would you create and manage user access keys for users that need to access AWS services from the AWS command line? If I need them to access from the command line, where can I create those access keys? We did that on day 1 of this class. Where do I create access keys or username or password or anything like that for any user that wants to use AWS services? Where do I do that? The obvious answer is IAM, right? Identity and access management. This is where you do everything user related, roles, groups, right? So if I need to create access keys for the user, I must use that. Control tower is used for managing access across multiple AWS accounts, similar to organizations, and controlling them. Systems manager is like you have a fleet of EC2 instances and you want to control them all at once. And software development kit is, it's just a way to access AWS. So the answer is that. A company wants to ensure that all AWS accounts in their environment conform to company-wide policies. Which service can help? Remember, all AWS accounts, not one. So two answers here are what? Based on what I've just explained in the last question. In the last one we just did, the answer is here. Organizations, yes, and what? Control tower. So control tower is at the multiple accounts level. Systems manager is at the systems level. So EC2 instances are managed together. All right. If you want to have company-wide policies, you want to make sure that they are following compliance across multiple accounts, you use control tower. If you want to manage organization AWS accounts individually, bring them together into one hub, you use organizations. Trusted advisor just gives you advice. Systems is for EC2 instances. All right. Next one. Which of the following statements accurately describes AWS's responsibilities? This should be very straightforward. AWS manages and secures the physical security of AWS data centers, correct? That's the answer. Next. 5 minutes to go. Let's do this, guys. Your company wants to protect your web applications from SQL injections and cross-site scripting. This is a very straightforward answer if you know it. There is one service that helps you protect from SQL and cross-site scripting. That is Web Application Firewall. What is Inspector for? To remind you, Inspector is for security vulnerabilities to your EC2 instances. Shield protects you from DDoS, right? DDoS, denial of service, distributed denial of service request is controlled by Shield. It blocks it. All right. Security Hub is where we can have all reports from all the security features in AWS brought to one central location. That's Security Hub. Which of the following is CloudFront content cached? In which of the following is CloudFront content cached? This is straightforward. Edge locations, right? Good. Next question. In order to support their auditing and compliance efforts, a company needs to produce a report to audit the effect of password lifecycle requirements. How can they access a report that lists all users? So the report they want to access must list all the users in the account along with the status of the various credentials. If you're going to take a good guess, what would you choose? Your temptation is to go with A, but remember, artifact is compliance reports that are from outside AWS, just different compliance reports like PCI, HIPAA, all of that. So this one is asking you for a list of your users in your account. So it cannot be artifact. This is for compliance documents, compliance records. And this is asking for password lifecycle requirements and all that. So the answer is IAM credential reports. So if you didn't know that before, you know it now. QuickSight is dashboard for BI, business intelligence. Redshift is for data warehousing. Artifact is for compliance documents. All right. Which of the following are benefits of cloud computing? You shouldn't think too much. Go global in minutes and economies at scale. Answer. Do we agree? Was there one more? Two, right? Just two. Configuring user permissions so that users can access only the resources they need to do their job is what principle? We've talked about this today. Good. Principle of least privilege. Very good. Next. Which the following are included in the cloud adoption framework security perspective? The following are in the security perspective. We should not even think too much. What are the two things that we see in security? Data protection and access management, right? That should be it. Very good. You need an AWS service that can identify objects, people, text, scenes, and activities in images and videos. We did this today. What service is used for identifying or for a clue? Recognizing. What service is that? Good. Recognition. SageMaker is for ML development, ML building. Lex is for chat bots. I want something that will give me lexicon, right? It will talk to me. Lex is for chat bots. Poly is translating or taking text to speech. So it is an application for changing text to speech. Recognition is the answer here. A developer would like to build a serverless application but does not want to install files or configure their local development machine. Which service will allow them to build the application by writing code in a web browser? The answer is Cloud9. You may not know this, but you want to write code in the cloud, you use Cloud9. All right. Code pipeline is just pipeline for your code. CI/CD development. Code deploy is deploying your code. CloudFront is content delivery. Next, you are implementing security between services. What can you use to adhere to the principle of least privilege? Which of these features is great for limiting access? The answer is roles, right? It gives limited access as needed. A company has multiple AWS accounts across multiple departments, multiple organizations, and they want to group everything into one master payment. What are the benefits of using this? They can automatically be alerted when your accounts are set up. Integration, I'm just going to choose what I think is correct because of time. I may be wrong. Let's see. Okay, Snowcone, exabytes data, snowmobile. You know what? I'm just going to allow us to run out of time and then we'll just review the ones we didn't know so we don't stretch it too much. But we did well, right? We scored 92%. You guys have passed. Congratulations, and I can't wait to hear your good news. But now let's look at the ones that we missed or did not answer. This is see guys, this is how the exam is going to feel like. It's this simple, but the only thing that may keep it from being this simple is if you don't know facts. So one of the things you can do to prepare yourself for the exam is just go back, review and review. What is this service? Okay, this. What is this service? If you've forgotten any of the concepts, go back and watch the video again, right? I'm contemplating, just that I'm so busy, but I'm contemplating doing like a review video. But at this point, I've done so much that I feel like it's just to go back and check. So let's review these things now. What did we miss? The one we did not answer because of time is which of the following methods can be used to access AWS resources? And you're supposed to choose three, I'm guessing, because there are three in the option. So who can tell me what are the methods we can use to access resources? You can unmute yourself. This is a good time to just talk, so we will save time.
BDE.
B, yes, console. D, SDK, and E. So let's see. Correct. Console, SDK, and CLI. Perfect. All right. Question is good. I like that one. Okay, next. Oh, that was the only one, right? And you see, it's because we didn't answer it. So we're really good. If we had finished it, we would have probably got like very close to 100. Now, on the security and compliance domain, by the way, please, you guys should use the app to practice. The app that I developed, please find it. You can use it to just be getting like quick answers to help. So this one we didn't answer. You need to provide a centralized view of security alerts and compliance status across multiple AWS accounts and services. But the key thing they want you to look at is security alerts and compliance. What can we use for that purpose?
Security Hub.
Very good. Security Hub. It is a cloud security posture management service that checks your accounts against best practices for security. Good. Next question. This one, you see, we did well. Did we miss any? We didn't miss anything. We just didn't answer them. We almost got 100, guys. Okay. I feel good too because this is probably the first time I'm taking this one. Um, okay, look at this now. A financial company needs to migrate large amounts of data at an exabyte scale. If you see exabyte, there's no number of snowball devices you can combine to get exabyte. We're talking thousands of terabytes. So the correct answer is snowmobile. That's the biggest of all of them. So snowmobile. It is to migrate exabytes of data using a 45-foot shipping container. That's crazy. 65. Which AWS service is designed for processing large data sets in parallel across a cluster of virtual Hadoop and Apache Spark servers? If you've gone through my video on the top services you must know, this should come to your mind very easily. Yes, Elastic Map.
Beanstalk. Oh no.
Yeah, Elastic MapReduce. Once you see Hadoop, when you see Apache Spark, anything that has to do with like data sets, parallel cluster, all these language, this is all like data, this big data language. So the answer is Elastic MapReduce. S3 is for storing objects. So this test did not give us questions on storage classes. I feel bad, but you need to perfect your understanding of storage classes. When should you use what storage class and all that? Athena is for SQL queries to S3, and Elastic Beanstalk is for deployment. You want to deploy your environment, but you don't know which services to use. Just give Elastic Beanstalk your code, and it will deploy your environment. It's different from CloudFormation, where you know exactly the resources you want to use. The Elastic Beanstalk is literally like Jack and the Beanstalk, that story. You just throw the seed and it will build everything for you. All right. So the answer is MapReduce. And then the final question, which we did not answer here, billing and pricing and support. Your company is launching EC2 instances and will need them for what? 1 year with very little to no downtime. What is the cheapest pricing option that will meet their requirements? We should know this by now. You want to use it for 1 year, no interruption. Very good. And you want the cheapest. So can we use Lambda? No, because Lambda only runs for 15 minutes. Can we use standard reserved instances? Yes, because reserved means I'm locking it in for 1 year and getting the cheapest cost I can get for that reservation. Spot instances? No, because I can lose it anytime. And then on demand is better for short term, 3 months, 6 months, 2 days, because it's by hour you are charged. So the answer is standard reserved instances, and you can get up to 72% discount from on-demand pricing if you use this. All right, wow, this was a great one. This is beautiful. I think we did very well. I will pause for questions and we'll end today. So if there's any question, anything you came across and you wanted to just get clarity, let me know. All right, let me know if you have any questions, if there's anything that you need explanation on. Also on the WhatsApp group, if there's anything like this concept I don't get it, I can do a voice note to explain it. I just want people to be studying and preparing. The last thing I want to say is that anyone who doesn't take the exam in October can take it anytime they want, but I cannot promise continued support right after the time frame of the training. So most of you should try to schedule the exam, because when you schedule it, it does something mentally for you to get ready to take it, and you do it and you're done. I'm taking an exam on Monday, that's 2 days from now, and it's the AI exam. I'm still studying, like I've been studying like a mad person, and I still have a lot to do, but I just want everybody to have that same approach. You take this exam once, you know you are done with it. It is forever on your record. You have a Credly sticker, Credly accreditation. You have you can put it on your LinkedIn, on your resume, and it just makes it clear that you know the AWS environment, at least foundationally. And like I said, next year I'm going to do a training for the Solutions Architect Associate. That one has more respect, especially if you are going to do something with this. Like if you noticed in this training, I only showed you the console. I didn't like tell you to create an account because you don't need to create an account for this exam. But for that one, you have to practice and you're going to have to create an account. And I want to delve in, build the content, make it more rigorous so that everyone is able to follow and pass that one. But if you pass that one, you are good. Like you at that point, people respect you as knowing the cloud and how it operates. Okay. One other thing is if you have the exam already set, please let me know the dates you are taking it. You can send it privately or on the group because if I have some downtime, I would love to do a run through session with you to prepare you for the exam. All right. Quick fact again, the exam is $100. If you've taken another AWS exam before, you have a discount. Um, it's worth it because once you have it, it's going to last you for the next 3 years. To recertify, you don't have to write the exam again. You just have to play a game. It's actually very fun. You play a game, exam quest, and then it will recertify you again for another 3 years. If you get the Solutions Architect Associate exam and you pass that one, maybe you're like, this one was too easy for me. Can I jump? Automatically, if you do the Solutions Architect Associate and you've done the practitioner before, it will automatically also reinstate that one if you pass the new one. So that's the beautiful thing about the AWS environment. There are up to 18 or 19 certifications in AWS, except you just want to go that route. I don't think you need more than 4 or 5 that just are in the direction of where you want to go in your career. So for someone like Ebube now, your background is security. I would say you can prepare to take the security specialty exam because that one gives more exposure. But once you have this, you already have the foundation that you can build on. But everyone that does a specialty is advised to do is an associate exam. Like even if it's DevOps associate or SysOps associate or the regular one, which is Solutions Architect associate, it's good to have one of those in your repertoire. All right. Final words, final questions, thoughts, comments. This is the end of our training. I hope you liked it. I hope it was worth your while. I know everyone had it difficult at different times, but it comes with the terrain. It's not a school, so you always have to find a way to be a part of the class. If you have any feedback, once you take the exam, one of the things that you would really help me with and the team is please put your send in like your feedback, what it was like, how the course really helped you, and all that. If you pass, send me the score, blur out your name, but just send me the score and let's celebrate, you. Is the AI exam an associate exam as well or not? So the AI exam, this one is a newly released one. It's called the AI practitioner exam. So it's at the same level of this cloud, foundations, but it's very, very heavy on the principles of machine learning. So it's not just like AWS. Yes, there are AWS services, but you have to understand principles of AI, how it works, how does machine learning work, all of that stuff. You'd have to study, and there's a guide. Same way you have the exam guide for cloud practitioner, you also have this one. Currently, it is in beta, so it's not publicly available to take yet for everyone. The one that is available now is beta. It's available, but you can only take it on the 7th. That's the latest date you can take it. So I'm taking it on the 7th. Let's see what happens. I'm trying to prepare and make sure I can pass. But once it's publicly available, people can take it. There's also the machine learning specialty that's also newly released. I don't think I want to go that deep until I feel like I need to. But yeah, that's the answer to your question. That one is the associate level, machine learning associate. All right, you're welcome. Any other question? we're going to end in prayer. Lord, thank you so much for this training. Thank you for these students. I pray that they will use this to further their careers, further their growth, find great opportunities. I pray that they will see the benefits of what they have learned practically in resources, in opportunities, in the name of the Lord Jesus. I pray that they will have a success that will make them glad and delightful. And I pray that everything they plan to do moving forward, you will guide and keep them. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you guys. I'm super accessible, like I said. If you have questions, always reach out. And let me know when you're taking the exam so we can have maybe a call or a session out. I can check your readiness and you're good to go. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful
Thank
rest
you.
of your weekend.
Thank
Bye.
you.